Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here, especially on such short notice. And Director Melcher, thank you for putting another meeting together when you thought last week was your last one. Today we have, for those online, we have temporary rules since our last meeting, and there'll be just a couple of those, and then we'll consider revisions to the recruitment process for the new director of ODF&W. And we are doing this update so that we can keep this process as open to people and up so everyone is updated and this process is as transparent as we can make it. So just to start, I'm Mary Wall, Chair of the Oregon Fish and Wildlife Commission. Would like to call our Friday, March 22nd, 2024 meeting to order. And I'd like the other commissioners to go ahead and introduce themselves. If we could start with Vice Chair Hatfield-Hyde.
Good afternoon, this is Becky Hatfield-Hyde.
And Commissioner Labhart.
Good afternoon, Mark Labhart from Sisters.
Commissioner King.
Hello, all. Dr. Leslie King from Portland Metro.
Thank you. And Commissioner Spellbrink.
Yes, Bob Spellbrink, Celeste, Oregon.
And as most of you may have heard, Commissioner Khalil will likely not be with us today. She may check in later, but not likely. So Director Melcher, will you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Wall. I'm Kurt Melcher. I'm Director of the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
And Michelle, will you introduce yourself and tell us anything we need to know about the system?
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Tate with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. I'm here today to provide support to the director and the commission so that we can hold this meeting virtually. Teams is being a little bit funny today, so I'm hoping that everybody can stay connected through this short little meeting. There was a cancel. For some reason, it was sending out a cancellation, but as you can tell, we have not canceled this meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Director Melcher, should we go to the temporary rules?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Wall and Commissioners. We do have two temporary rules that require ratification. Of course, the statute requires that you ratify any temporary rules that are adopted between meetings. And so anytime we have a meeting, however short the meeting may be, we do need you to ratify those rules. So those two rules are shown in the updated agenda that Michelle sent you. And I'm happy to answer any questions on those, or the chair will need a motion and a second and as well and a vote.
Seeing no hands up, do I have a motion?
I move to ratify the two temporary rules set forth on the March 22nd, 2024 agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt or to ratify the two temporary rules as read into the record. Michelle, can we do a voice since we can't see everybody?
Spellbrink?
Yes.
Labhart?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Hatfield-Hyde?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes. So that's unanimous. And then let's go to the Exhibit A, which is the Director Recruitment. And Commissioners, all of you have the written update that was put together to show the changes in the recruitment plan, and Director Melcher is ready to walk through those.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Wall and Commissioners. I do apologize for having to do this to you on a late Friday afternoon, but we weren't prepared to do it last week. So it is what it is, and this should be brief, but we did, as the recruitment process has been evolving, as you all know, there's been a number of changes, largely changes to dates and timing at various stages of the recruitment. But there is, one, I think I consider it fairly minor change, but just for the sake of transparency, we wanted to do that and make that change official in a public meeting. So I'll just walk through quickly the draft revised recruitment plan. You'll see on the first page, and I think, send you all a separate version that just highlights the things that have been changed or updated. You'll see that we updated the dates to reflect today's date, March 22nd, 2024. course, you adopted the original recruitment plan on January 26, 2024, and this is just a step in revising that plan. As we get onto the second page, these are a combination of date updates to the process, but also one update of substance, and that is a slight modification to the process. Of course, the executive recruiter has received and forwarded 23 qualifying applicants. The screening panel is going to score those 23 applicants, and they will score them independently without discussion. Those scores for all 23 applicants will be provided to DAS, the DAS recruiter, for application of veterans preference points, because that is an important step in the process. And then the candidates, the list of candidates will be narrowed to some manageable number, at which point we will have a interview subcommittee that will interview each of those second round candidates, if you will. And that interview subcommittee will then further winnow the list of applicants to finalists that will move forward with a meeting with the governor, as well as a public interview or public forum discussion, as well as executive session interviews with the full commission. So, as I mentioned, just since we added that additional step of a screening or an interview subcommittee, we really, the chair and I really felt it was important that we had that adopted by you all in a public setting. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think you explained it perfectly and nobody has a question. This is unusual. So if there aren't comments or questions from the commissioners, could I then get a motion? Commissioner King.
Yeah, thanks. I'm, like you said, Teams is weird today. I guess my question is what the reason for the meeting is for these slide updates, and how are they? I'm trying to track and follow. Like, are they significantly different than what we already did?
I'll answer and then let Director Melcher fill in some additional information. No, they're not hugely different from what we had before, but we're trying to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's going on in this one. So this is a transparency issue more than a big change in the process. But it clarified how these steps would happen and who was involved, so that it helped. I think it will help people to know exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Director Melcher, anything to add to that?
No, I think Chair Wall, Commissioner King, this is the process that's laid out right now is really, I would say, similar to how we envisioned it, but we did add the explicit second step of interview of candidates by a screening or interview subcommittee, which we never explicitly stated that in the original. I think, at least in my mind, I always thought that was going to be part of the screening panel's work. But rather than, rather than just have us all think what we thought we should lay it out explicitly and say that there was going to be the second step with an interview subcommittee.
Got it. So the interview subcommittee, like, essentially we're talking about winnowing down from 23 to what number? And then something happens in May that I think with all of us.
Yes.
So Chair Wall and Commissioner King, so the screening panel will score the candidates individually, essentially without discussion. Those scores will be forwarded to the executive recruiter at the Department of Administrative Services. They will look at those scores and apply the appropriate veterans preference. And then it's hard to know right now whether there will be 10 individuals that move to the next step or 6. It really kind of depends on the scoring curve, if you will, of the 23 applicants. So they will then basically decide which of those 23 will move on to the next step, which is the interview subcommittee. Those are interviews that are done in executive session. After the interview subcommittee does their work, then the interview subcommittee will determine who moves on to the full process with the full commission and the governor.
Okay, and then how many move on, or does it depend on how many are front loaded in?
It's an open question.
Okay.
I think it depends on how many, if you have, I'm just making this up, if you have 5 really, really strong candidates, then maybe all 5 will make it to the final step. And if you only have 2 or 3, then so it's kind of the candidate pool will help determine that.
Right, and then in May, however, that's when it's all of us. It's not the subcommittee anymore. And in May is when we vote and actually pick someone out of this pool that the screening interview people have selected.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
correct.
I think I've got it.
On May 10th, you'll have the public forum interviews with the finalists, and you'll have executive session interviews with the finalists, and that's when you'll make your decision. And it looks like Commissioner Labhart has his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Director. Just to make sure that I think I already know the answer to this question, but if the public's watching is wondering who the interview subcommittee is, maybe we could just mention who that members of that interview subcommittee are. So if people are wondering who's on that.
Sure, appreciate that. And I'll just also mention the screening panel. So the screening panel is the chair of the commission, the vice chair of the commission, and someone from the governor's office. And then the interview subcommittee is the chair of the commission, the vice chair of the commission, a governor's representative, and the governor's tribal affairs director.
Thank you for answering that or asking the question. I think that's a good one to clarify. Anything else? Anyone else have questions? Commissioner Hatfield Hyde, Vice Chair, you have your hand up.
I am ready to make a motion if there isn't any other questions.
There aren't other questions. I think we can go ahead.
Okay. I move to approve the revised recruitment plan for the Fish and Wildlife Director position that is dated March 22nd, 2024, as proposed by Director Melcher.
Thank you. Commissioner Spellbrink, you have your hand up. Are you wanting to second?
Yes, I will second. I had a question. For some reason, everything was moving so slow here. I tried to get my hand raised earlier and it just now popped up. So and it doesn't have anything to do with this. So I will second it, and then I might add something here when we're done.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the revised recruitment plan for the Fish and Wildlife Director position as read into the record. And before we vote, we do have a chance for questions or discussion. So Commissioner Spellbrink, what was your question?
Okay, that on the going back to the tribal involvement. Let's see. Tribal, are the tribes involved before the tribal affair director for the governor gets involved, or are they involved in this process here somewhere along the line?
Yeah, Chair Wall and Commissioner Spellbrink, each of the 9 federally recognized tribes have been offered the opportunity to meet with the executive recruiter to discuss what their interests are and in terms of a new director at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. I don't know how many have taken the executive recruiter up on that, and I'm not privy to those conversations, but that was the direction that we gave the recruiter, and I know he's following up on that.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, I had that question asked, and I said I was pretty sure they had an opportunity, but I figured I'd get for sure.
Anything else? Seeing no other hands up, Michelle, would you mind calling the names?
King,
Yes.
Spellbrink,
Yes.
Labhart,
Yes.
Hatfield Hyde,
Yes.
Wall.
Yes. So that one also is unanimous for those of us who are here. And unless there is anything else from you commissioners, I think we are ready to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, and happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes. And I promise this is my last commission meeting. So
Yeah. Hey, Kurt, enjoy your cake. Apparently,
Never say never, Kurt.
don't you get some cake or something? Is the cake next week?
next Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday.
Are we
Okay.
supposed to celebrate again? We just keep celebrating. All right. Take care.
All right.
Thank
Thanks a
you,
lot. Have a good
everyone.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.